There are two topics that you never want to talk about on your YouTube channel unless it's about that particular thing. But the two things I always avoid are religion and politics. Unfortunately, we're going to be talking about one of those today. Also, we're going to look at CNBC. We'll do a screen recording of some of the top headlines there. And I want to get into the current exuberance of the stock market right now. It's kind of freaking me out a bit. And as you guys know, I do not trust this market at all. And we're finally seeing a little bit of catch-up in the catch-up trade that many CEOs of mining companies that I've been watching lately in the interviews, they're all talking about the same thing, which is what I'm saying too. The catch-up trade where the price of gold has gone up so much, but the gold mining stocks have not yet responded. And then add to that silver compared to gold is so incredibly undervalued, and compared to their use case where all of the silver is being used more than we produce every year for solar power, electric vehicles, all sorts of things like that, that's going to drive up the prices of the underlying commodity, which will then drag the prices of the stocks with it. And in terms of the current stock market environment, it feels very frothy to me. There's two types of new highs. We're hitting new highs. Stocks are doing so well. And there's different reasons for that, part of which is currency debasement. You can make your house be worth 10 times the price by liquidating the currency. Stocks are the same way. It's a form of inflation escaping. But there's also stocks can reach new highs because of fundamental reasons. Are the businesses underlying producing more so that they're fairly valued at these new levels? It just feels very frothy to me. It feels priced for perfection. I don't trust the market at all. If it triples, quadruples, that's fine. I'm not going to step in front of this possible train wreck. We had a bad day Friday. We're going to have a bad day today again, I believe. But who knows? Who knows? I think that there's much better ways to get involved with the growing economy, which is actually in a lot of trouble right now that the vast majority of people aren't realizing. But I've been showing you on this channel all the things that are going wrong with it for years now. So you're going to want to subscribe to this channel if you're going to keep an eye on this kind of thing. I'll do that for you. But right now, more than ever, I'd be more apt to suggest that you be more cautious. Part of the issue is they're saying that the unemployment rate is so low, so the economy is strong. We're setting up for a soft landing or no recession at all. I categorically do not expect that that's the way it's going to play out. I believe we're going to have a pretty serious economic concern coming up. And one thing I always remind you is that does not mean that there aren't incredible opportunities, such as the ones that we're talking about in the Peter Leeds newsletter. There's great opportunities in the downward economic collapsing market that we're all going to be experiencing together. I showed you before on the too low for too long interest rate history. This is what built up all these debt levels for people, for companies, for the government itself, that now we're having trouble paying for. That's why they're going to lower interest rates, just so that the government can pay the debts we have. The carrying costs with these interest rates have gotten out of control, and that applies to you personally probably as well. If you've got all of a sudden a mortgage that is now $1,000 more a month for your payment, as is the case for a lot of people that I know, all of a sudden you're put in a difficult situation, and how do you get out of that? And I believe that the toughest days are actually ahead of us still. People think that we avoided a hard landing, we got a soft landing, and there's no recession, and everything's going gangbusters, the unemployment rate is so low. I don't see it that way. I believe a lot of people are looking the wrong way, and that's when you get knocked out. We got a few new subscribers to the Peter Leeds newsletter lately. I just wanted to tell you guys, and all the other subscribers too, that we're going to be doing a review of all of our recent stock picks, mostly because I just want to show off a little bit. But we're going to talk about which ones we think still have a lot more upside to come. So wait for that. It'll come out this week. I know that I told you I was taking a week off for the reading week kind of stuff, but I got some stuff done that didn't take as long as I thought it would. So you guys are going to get the benefit of all of that. Tons of great free content coming out to you guys within the next few days. And I want to show you guys a few of the headlines on CNBC. This is the pre-market, but the markets are actually open now, so we'll see the actual real numbers here. So far red day, just like Friday, but gold prices, of course, chapow. Crypto's doing well. up $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 basically for a Bitcoin. Gold's up, silver's up. But what's happening here today, you'll see that gold's up 0.74%, silver's up 0.33%. This is exact opposite, though, to what will typically happen. Because I believe that silver will catch up towards gold by increasing by more, and when it's a down day, it'll decrease by less than gold. And platinum's always an interesting one, because this one, historically, is twice the price of gold. However, it's been less than the price of gold by quite a bit. Platinum is 50 times more rare than gold. It has way more uses than gold. But since it's not the type of metal that a central bank's going to buy, you're not seeing it play out as would be expected. But generally, the whole complex, precious metals, I believe is going to do tremendously well, which will then bleed into the stocks that dig up the metals out of the ground, doing even better. Their profit margins are going to explode. And it wasn't that long ago when we were talking about, is gold going to be able to break 2,000? Look at it now. It's not even looking back, and that was a resistance level that became now a support level. Resistance levels flip. When you break through, it becomes a support level in most cases. And here I want to say about this, twice in one video talking about politics, which I do not want to do ever, it's just a lot of focus. People are looking at what's going on, which is fine. I'm just saying that when you're looking at something that's interesting, and I know I'm guilty of this as well, when you're looking at something so often, so much, you got to think about what are you also not seeing at that time? What are you not looking at? This is what I was talking about with Jane the other day, how we had this massive fire in Hawaii, and no one's talking about it. Not even close to as much coverage as you would typically expect. And then there's an earthquake in Turkey and 40,000 people die, and nobody really gave it much coverage, or not even close to as much coverage as it should have. There's just so much going on in the world that everyone's looking at something. We're a bunch of cats looking at a laser pointer. What is falling through the cracks? That's how you have to think about stuff, and that's where the opportunities lie. Moscow terror attack, suspects beaten and bruised. Oh, poor babies. Oil prices rise as Ukraine strikes Russian refineries. I told you that the other day, and this is one of the reasons why it's such a soft target too. Not just Ukraine, but a bunch of kids vandalizing with a can of spray paint can go take out an oil refinery. It's just a soft target. There's always the risk that somebody who wants to increase the price of oil or keep someone from getting the oil that they need could take action against the pipeline or the refinery. And that's why it's always a good idea to own some kind of oil production company that will help you survive best if there is a big spike in the price of oil, which we're going to see the biggest spikes in oil coming up as we continually deplete the global reserves. We've got about 40 years left. And I started talking about this when there's 45 years left. And everyone's like, well, that's plenty of time. Well, now we got 40. And I'll come back and talk about this again when we got 35 years left. And I told you that all the wars are going to break out before we get to the point where everyone's aware that the world's running out of oil. See, again, Trump here, where there's keeping you focused on this. And it's interesting, you have to know how this all plays out. But I'm just saying, yeah, check out this, pay attention to it, but think about what else is going on that no one's talking about. That's where the opportunity is, not when there's something everybody's looking at. What's no one looking at? They're looking the wrong way. Austin, this is the place to move to and live. I cannot wait to get there. And they have a bat tornado. So as promised, I'm going to talk about one of the headlines that I consider to be a widowmaker for this channel, and that is politics. Just because it's a stock market thing and some people are wondering about this, the Truth Social stock going public, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get right to the point. In terms of an investment, when you look at the books, it's really bad, where it's like they're making $1 million in a 3-month period, but they're spending $40 million. When you look at a stock from a Leeds analysis perspective, that is absolutely destined to go bankrupt. So don't think that this is an opportunity to invest and enrich yourself by buying shares of Truth Social. which is going by the ticker symbol DJT, Donald Trump's initials, which is also the short form for the Dow Jones Industrial Transportation Average. But if you're thinking about investing in Truth Social for the investment value of it, it's overvalued. So it's risky. You could sell it short. You could trade put options against it. I'm not recommending any of that. I don't think that this is something that anyone needs to get involved with. We find other stocks. If you want to make money in stocks, then there's other things that you can buy that are pretty clear, and it makes a lot more sense to buy a stock that's going to increase in value, because if you understand how a business works, you know that it's going to be increasing in value as it makes more revenues and cuts down costs, and it's easier to buy a stock that's going to increase in price.